I'm recording.
Yes, thank you. Um, Before we start, I think we need to be clear on what we're covering today. It sounds like perhaps everybody believes that this meeting is on Greenworks. Um, and if that is so, then I think we need to make sure that we have other meetings set in place. But I also just sent an email out in light of what Kelly had said about the agenda, to make sure that this meeting is in compliance with the open meetings law. So Susan, I don't know whether you might be the person to address that, but I just took a very quick look at the statute, and I just want to make sure, because there's no agenda posted for right now.
Yeah, technically it should have been posted 24 hours ahead, but there's a provision if the agenda hadn't been set before, then you can post it as quickly as possible after the meeting.
Okay,
So
good.
Compliance.
I just posted it. I sent the email at 1 o'clock for it to be posted, and I only put the matter of business was under the administrative function of request for an advisory opinion.
Okay, great. I just thought it was important that we know what we were doing, and I wanted to make sure again about the open meetings thing. I would, I guess this was discussed in the emails yesterday. I would like to try to figure out our schedule, over the course of the next couple of months. But why don't we start with this question about Greenworks? And I have to say, I remember it occurring to me when the Greenworks, well, actually, Susan, I need to ask first to Susan and to Kelly. I don't believe that this is a closed matter, this item we have on our agenda. Could one of you address that?
I'm not sure. It's a request for an advisory opinion.
Right. So if I could help here, I looked that up also just before, and what the statute says about it is the commission shall meet in a closed session to consider an advisory opinion. This is section 71104B. If in the view of the commission, the consideration of the advisory opinion request would lead to identification of the subject of the request, and if the subject does not waive the right to the protection of his or her identity. When I looked at that against the open meetings law, it was a little bit unclear to me. So I think maybe Susan can tell us.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't think this falls under the advisory opinion that needs to be in closed session.
Okay, so we can just proceed on then. So I recall when this came in about Greenworks, that it reminded me of something that Laura and Lisa may be unaware of, because I can't find if this was mentioned in an email, and I don't think we discussed this matter before in a meeting. But there was a different request that was done in March 2020 at the very, very beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, where there was similarly a request for exception to the same statute that we're speaking about here. Please pardon me if my memory is lacking. So it is possible that all of this was explained, or that a copy of that opinion as well as the request was sent out, particularly for the benefit of the two new commissioners. But if it was, I couldn't find it. So I had thought it would be a good idea to make sure that people had it. And the reason is that some of the same concepts, because that too was an exception to the gift statute. I thought it would be a good idea for the two new commissioners. Mike may well have a great memory about this, sort of to the extent that I do, or maybe you were not present for that meeting then, Mike. But it was a request by, I think the request was submitted by the chief of staff. Kelly was with us then. And what I was able to just put together, frankly, was that it was on March 28th, apparently, that Kelly sent this to us, that the chief of staff had, I guess, must have sent to her. I unfortunately could not find that actual email, only a reference to it. So I do not have the actual request, but I was able to quickly
Kelly
find.
just sent it.
Okay,
Kelly just emailed it.
great, thank you. I was
I'll
able
pull it up too if you want me to.
That would be awesome if you could start with the request, and to Laura and to Lisa, I say that, again, because you would not have any background in the fact that happened, I thought it was important that you see it because it was a lengthy opinion that's done. So perhaps everybody can just read this to themselves as Kelly scrolls through. And the section 73105 that is mentioned in the bottom paragraph that Kelly is now showing is the same section that we're now being asked for an exemption to. So thank you, Kelly. And, I guess it is probably obvious that the reason I wanted to bring this, and hopefully Kelly would be able to now share the actual opinion, is that my recollection was, and confirmed by when I read this, that whole request and opinion was treated as a very, like as a unique and a unique situation caused by the COVID-19 crisis. And there's language in the opinion. I would like, obviously everybody needs to read and needs to be able to see the entire thing. You have this in your email that I sent you a short bit ago, but there's a couple of pieces of the language I would like to particularly call out in this opinion, which is also, by the way, highlighted in the email that I just sent. As you can see, the whole point of this request was to help the county, if the county was interested in soliciting donations of either PPE or funds that would essentially help to support PPE and related services because of, this huge crisis that was happening in the county. Of course, had these first responders, et cetera, et cetera. So we can continue on here with the opinion. And this is the same statute that I think Kelly forwarded it in an email before. This paragraph coming up here now is one of the ones I wanted to call out. That after reciting that statute that we're called upon now to grant an exception to, what the same commission said in the end of March of 2020 was that those prohibitions in the statute are most likely meant to prohibit a public official from soliciting or accepting gifts for himself or herself. Nonetheless, the language of the code section is such that the commission believes that under normal circumstances, it would be improper for a public official to solicit gifts, even those which would be made to the county, because it may appear that to the person being solicited that if the gift is given, he may later feel entitled to call upon the official to provide him with more favorable rulings or contract awards and dealings he has with the, please continue, Kelly, on the scroll, with the county. Conversely, the person being solicited may feel that if the gift is not given, he may suffer retribution in one form or another, with preferential treatment being given only to those who did respond to a gift. And then in the next sentence, the commission went on to say, but in this COVID-19 situation, it was going to make an exception. So it says that nevertheless, with proper safeguards and a narrowly construed temporary exception, the commission believes that the county's ability to respond to the COVID-19 crisis warrants an exception be made. I'm going to stop actually reading it and go on, but it goes on to then say that, the commission granted the exception, but there were a number of particular requirements that were set forth that are in these numbered paragraphs. Why don't we just kind of keep going through those numbered paragraphs then, Kelly? And then I want to call your attention again, really just to the beginning of paragraph 5, where it says this exception is an extraordinary measure taken to address extraordinary times. And it goes on from there. And honestly, that is a reflection of the discussions that were had at that time. It sounds like Mike perhaps was not there for this. Mike, this was all at one meeting. There were emails and then there was this meeting. I believe it was an in-person meeting actually in the historic courthouse. But I do see Mike's names there on the signatures. So again, I just wanted people to have this background, and if this was previously circulated to everyone in the last month, I apologize for not being able to confirm that. Having said all this now, I think I'm assuming that everybody has read the request from Greenworks. Does anybody feel like they would like to hear from Kelly just to sort of summarize what that request is or provide more detail on it factually? Any of the commissioners? Okay, so Kelly, would you like to do you think you have any additional information that would be helpful for people understanding what's being requested? Okay. So I think with that, then I would like to put it open for discussion among the commission members as to people's views of what is the best way, what their view is regarding the potential response. So
Actually, the council recently approved a bill that I think may address this. Let me see if I can share it.
thank you, Susan. I was unaware of that.
Trying to figure out how to do this.
If you can't do it, Sue, you can just send it to me and I can do it.
Okay, let me do that.
It says coming in softer than, for example, seasons. Is that a setting on your computer by any chance?
Okay, I just sent it to you, Kelly.
Hey, Susan, why did I not, nobody told me about this bill.
To be honest with you, I forgot about it until I just thought it was just the fiscal sponsors, but when I just looked at it, it actually goes further. And for some reason, it's not uploaded into the code. The online code hasn't been amended yet.
Did it pass?
Yes,
Susan, could you also email it to the rest of us? Because I
sure.
sitting with my printer and I'd like to be able to print it out and, look at it, view it a little bit differently. So this, wait a minute, is this saying it only applies to gifts valued at more than 5,000 or it doesn't apply to them?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't apply.
Okay.
And if you keep scrolling down,
Wait, I'm sorry, before you do, please, this concept of a fiscal sponsor under contract.
that doesn't really apply here. We entered into a contract with a community fund to solicit contributions and set up a fund for us, and that was approved by county council. But there is a provision here about allowing the county executive or his designee to solicit donation for county programs.
This is the Baltimore Community Fund that I talked to Pat Murray about.
Right.
This is going to be a separate but related issue in that they want to be able to solicit from like the Ravens or the Orioles and have it go into a fund. This is an elected official may solicit a gift.
Wait,
These are all the exceptions to the gift rule.
right. Is this being
I just sent it to you. You need to only look at the capitalized stuff because this is the uncapitalized stuff is just the stuff that's currently in the law.
Right.
So it's 71305.1, which is really the new section. C is the one.
Right. Right. This is how they can ask the Orioles to give to the BCS fund to like go make a new playground.
But they can also solicit directly to the county. So that's, I guess, where the Greenworks.
But it's only an elected official or his
Right.
designee.
Well, elected official or designee. So the county executive would have to designate someone else to make that ask.
They have to make sure they do this. Well, I've read it quickly, but it seems that they can do it if the county executive designates Ellen or whoever, right?
Right. Well, it's an appointed department head, so I don't think Ellen could do it. It would have to be whoever the head of the department is.
Dave, is it Dave Lycan?
Is that where Ellen is now? Is she over in environment?
Maybe it's Steve Lafferty. I think she's in planning.
Okay,
So-
yeah.
Susan, section D refers to 306 and 712 of the charter. Could you remind us about those, please? Or are they not relevant here?
I have to pull it up, look at it. Give me a minute.
I can do it too, Susan. I can share my screen at this time.
Okay.
What was it? 306 of the charter?
So in reading this new provision where it says that an elected official or designee may solicit a gift to the county if it is for the benefit of a county program or other governmental purpose, function, or activity. And in thinking about the request, I'm not sure that this request, even if it was a request being made by an elected official or a designee, would satisfy the statute. because the way I read the request, the beneficiary of the gift would not be the county, it would not be a county program or in satisfaction of a governmental purpose, function, or activity. The way that I read the request, it is more for the benefit of individuals.
Yeah, you're right, Lisa. I think I'd have to go back to the original email, but I think that it's just a sustainability program. I wonder if that would be considered a county program. I'd have to go back and look at the original. It's like a sustainability challenge.
Well, I understand that it's to, as it was proposed, the purpose would be to encourage employees to participate in this program. But I think if you, it doesn't, that is pretty attenuated from something that is beneficial to the county program itself. I think if you want to use that argument, pretty much anytime, any request that's related to a county program could then be shoehorned into the statute. And my concern is that this is too attenuated from county program or a governmental purpose, function, or activity.
Could somebody remind us who is the Greenworks Committee? Is that entirely within the county? What is it?
Yeah, I think so. Let me find it. I thought it was 5 members of Baltimore County government.
So there's in an email, it states that the prize committee members include county employees, but I didn't know whether that was simply saying that they're on it. And so are some other people. Something stuck in my mind that possibly the Greenworks Committee was some kind of a joint effort of the county and something else, but that's only the vaguest recollection I have of that. That may be incorrect. If I think that, Kelly, I think it frankly because it's something you said. So if you don't think it, then it's probably not true.
I guess the answer is I don't know. I was under the impression, but maybe it's just because of this sentence, the prize members. I think those are all, I'll defer to Sue, but I think those are all county employees.
The people listed are, but the email just says those are the prize committee. It doesn't, and I just tried to Google Green at Work and I didn't come up with anything. But I think that's a legitimate question.
Well, I can see if I can call Ellen and get her. I'm not sure I could get her on the phone, but I can try and ask her. I mean, maybe we'll wait to see if we have any more questions, but I'm not sure who encompasses Green at Work.
Kelly, were you meaning that you were going to try to reach that person now, or you could reach them later?
I was going to reach them now unless there was more. I thought we should wait to see if there's any more questions to ask her.
I would actually, I have printed this and I'm not sure. It looks like maybe just from her motions that Lisa may have. So you looks like she may be looking at something. And Laura and Mike, I assume that you, regardless of whether you printed it, that you have an email. And I would really appreciate it if we could all just take a moment to read it to ourselves, because I want to make sure I understand what this is saying. So could we just take a minute for that?
This is the original email with the request.
I'm actually talking about the statute.
Okay.
Obviously, read whatever you need to read, but I just need to take the statute, frankly, into my brain for a minute, please. Susan, in C1 of the new code provision, when it refers to county program or other governmental purpose, function, or activity, I see that those words are not defined in
Nope.
713 or 5.1, but are they defined elsewhere in the code where that
I
definition?
don't believe so.
I don't believe so either. Those are new words.
Yeah, we were trying to come up with a concept that allowed them to, to be as broad as possible. But I do see Lisa's concern about this is more tenuous than because it's not really supplementing the budget per se. It's really going into gifts for. But I will point out that the other thing that the county does a lot is these kind of incentives to get people to donate to the United Way. They've been doing it for years, and that was part of the reason the charitable organization part was in there. So it's not unprecedented for them to do this.
So Greenworks is a separate nonprofit outside of the government, correct?
Yeah,
I don't think we
know
know that for sure.
I found the website.
Oh, did you? Okay.
It just states it's a nonprofit entity. It looks like just, focusing in Baltimore County, but not associated with the government.
So I was going to say, is it the right one? But it's not. I think it's the right one if it says Baltimore County then. Laura, could you please just share that link by emailing it to us all?
Why then? I mean, the ethics laws don't have we don't have jurisdiction over a nonprofit.
Well, let's try to gather all of our facts.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
this would be like unsolicited gifts, right, for government employees.
But I think that what they're wanting to do is for county employees working somehow in cooperation and furtherance or whatever, with Greenworks to be making the solicitation, so that even though we don't have jurisdiction over Greenworks, we certainly, the ethics code does have jurisdiction over the county employees who would be doing this, given that they're doing it in a way that would ultimately, the ultimate recipient would be a county employee, I think. I may be missing something there.
It's called Green at with the at sign work.
Yes, Cynthia, you're right. It looks like it's going to be a challenge thing where employees are volunteer can sign up and log on to demonstrate how they're following these sustainability activities. And I don't know whether you get awards randomly or if you meet certain goals. I don't know how they're doing it, but That's what it seems like it is.
It says they're going to offer random drawings.
Okay, so it's right drawings.
For participation, if you participate in
Right.
the event by turning your lights off when you each go to work, your name will get submitted to win a random drawing. If you bike to work, if you do those kind of challenges, my understanding.
So even though it is a nonprofit, we don't know if there's any relationship to the county, or maybe we do. Susan and Kelly.
I'm not aware that there is. I checked on the, I did a search on the county website and didn't see any reference to them. So, but I'm not, it's possible.
I mean, I'm more than happy to call Ellen and see if I can get her on the phone and ask her if it is a county program. I assume it is a county program. I don't know why I'm thinking that just from our discussion.
I recall seeing signs in the building in the past about, that said green at work and, remember, turn off lights, shut down your air conditioning, things like that. But I don't know whether it's a county program or it's just posters that they make available.
Well, it refers to the committee. Are they all county employees?
Well, that's what we don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know them.
We don't know
Is it-
who the 5 people are.
Is it worth asking Ellen if she'd be willing to join so that we can ask her questions and then she can log off when we start deliberating?
Sure. Let me see if I can even get her on the phone.
Madam Chairwoman, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that is fine. I'd like to, I think maybe we should just have a vote, but from my perspective, it's fine. Lisa, can you just make a motion to do that if you want to do it, or else a motion not to do it?
I guess before we have her, I would like there to be some sort of set, I guess, beginning and end, because I think I want to deliberate without, is it possible to deliberate without this person on the phone?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just suggesting that maybe, we ask her to join for a short period while we ask whatever questions we have. And then
Okay,
ask her to
because
drop off.
I have reservations about this request, kind of
Sure.
apart from what we're talking about. But okay, so I move that we request that Ellen Cobbler join the meeting.
Cobbler, yeah.
I'll second that.
All right, well, let me see if I can get her.
Does she need to be informed that it's recorded, or will she understand that anyway?
Oh, we should tell her.
Yeah.
And if you can't get her, then Seth Blumen, who is an energy person at property management, might be available.
They also copy a guy, Brady Locker.
Yeah, Brady is the deputy director at Environment.
So we don't know if he's on the Greenworks.
I don't know.
committee.
Yeah, I don't know
Got
how
it.
much he knows about the Greenworks.
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you. Hold on. I'll give you all that background. Yep. Hold on a second. Let me figure out how to get you on speaker. Okay. Are you on speaker? Yeah. Okay. So we are right now meeting in open session with the Ethics Commission. It's being recorded, and we are. This is an unscheduled meeting that was scheduled in part to consider your request for the Green at Work Sustainability Challenge. We have a couple of questions. If you can't hear Ellen, you are on speakerphone with the 4 members of the Ethics Commission, the Chair, Cindy, oh my gosh, Leopard, I just blanked on your last name, commissioners, Mike Lawler, Lisa Sinclair, Laura Ray, and Sue Dubin, who is the lawyer for the commission. So if the translation back and forth is not great, I will try to translate. I know we had a first initial question. Who is Green at Work a county program, and or who are the members of Green at Work?
So thank you all for meeting to discuss this. Green at Work is an ad hoc cost agency committee which was active a few years ago and was recently reactivated at the request of the meeting of the Office of Sustainability. So the membership includes county employees from the Office of Sustainability, Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability, Department of Public Work, County Executive Office. I think if there's anybody else off the top of my head. Well, I will say that Jeff Blumen has been representing the committee both when he was in the Office of Sustainability, which was in the Executive Office, and then also when it was in Property Management.
But there's no non-Baltimore County employees that are a member of this committee.
That is correct. We have, on occasion, included some employees from Baltimore County Public Schools for the purpose of information.
But everybody's a member of Baltimore County government, regardless of what agency they're affiliated with.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Hold on a second, Ellen.
Is the membership open to non-county employees?
Is the membership open to non-county employees?
It has never come up. It's never come up for discussion, and so I don't know. It has not been. I don't know if we would consider that or not, given that at this point it is about internal county operations.
So the answer is it has never come up. They don't know that they would consider it because the purpose of the committee is really focusing on internal county operations.
And is the Baltimore Greenworks that we're looking at on the website for this?
Hold on a second, Ellen. Yes, sorry, go on, Lisa.
So we've been looking at a website, www.baltimoregreenworks.com. Is that the website for this?
I don't think so. It's green.
Is that the website for this entity?
Ellen, there's a website that's www.baltimoregreenworks. That's not your website.
That is not, no.
Okay.
I had a little trouble understanding her, but it sounded like she may have said that there were employees of the Baltimore County school system that were part of this. Is that what she said?
Ellen, have there been employees of the Baltimore County school system that have been part of the Green at Work committee?
We have been included in meetings and for information sharing purposes. It's an informal type of a committee, so I'm not sure how we would define membership per se, but we have had some school system employees there to talk about, to just update each other on sustainability initiatives within county government. And
Okay, so the answer is yes.
I'm having a great deal of trouble understanding her, and it's possible from his gestures that Mike is as well. Mike, are you?
I can't understand a word she said, but I got what Kelly said was yes, there are members of the Baltimore County school system that are part of this. How many, could you ask her, Kelly, how many people are in the Green Work Challenge Committee?
How many members are on the committee, Ellen?
As I say, it's somewhat of an informal committee, but I can count out for you the members that I identified who were on the price committee.
Did she say 40?
We know the price committee. Is it 10 members on the committee? Is it 20 members on the committee? Is it sometimes 5 people show up at the meeting, sometimes 15 people show up at the meeting?
So somewhere between 5 and probably 12.
Somewhere between 5 to 12 members, Mike, that
Okay.
go up to this, it's very informal, show up to the meetings on how often do you meet, Ellen?
As needed, there's not a set schedule.
How often have you met in the past, as of January?
Probably 4, maybe 5 times, including the committee.
Okay. There's been
Did
about
she say 4?
4 to 5 times since January. Informal, they meet as needed, not necessarily scheduled.
Okay.
So I have this, it's almost like a package of questions here, but maybe you can distill it down, Kelly, when you're communicating to her. Essentially, I'm wondering who the governing body or leader is of this organization. It's a 501c3, so it's not just a informal club. It's actually filing reports, for example, with the IRS. So it must have some kind of a governance. And I'm wondering who that governance is, whether it be by officers or a board or whatever it is. And also, like, who these people are in terms of the connection to the county. And along those lines, like, to whom it reports. So are these sort of like, if they are all county employees, are they county employees who sort of report only to themselves, and I guess in the larger sense, the IRS, or do they report somewhere to the county?
So Ellen, you guys are a 501c3, right?
No,
They're not a 501c3.
no, we're an informal committee of county government, and I couldn't hear everything that the commissioner was asking, but in terms of reporting, I would say the best way to describe it is that each of the individuals who participate report through their own chain of command to their own department head or agency head.
But you don't have a president, you don't have like a board of directors, you're not, yeah. It's much more informal than that.
Yeah.
I would again describe it as an ad hoc team of cross-agency team of county employees.
All of whom are concerned about sustainability and little ways that Baltimore County can be more efficient and green. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think I got that 501c3 from that website, perhaps. Maybe that's right.
Probably.
That idea. Yeah. Okay, does anyone have any further questions?
Spot. Hold on, one more question. Yep, Mike?
Does this organization have a website?
Do you have a website, Ellen?
We have within the county intranet, there is a web page dedicated to Greenworks.
Okay, but that's an internal, there's no public facing website.
Correct. Once at the inception of this initiative, 6 or 7 years ago, perhaps, there was discussion that perhaps if we got some initiatives going internally within county government, that we might consider sharing some of our content externally to businesses and organizations in Baltimore County if they wanted to mount their own Greenworks.
Got it.
Campaign.
So Mike, the answer is no, but they're hoping if they pick up steam with their initiatives that might be something that they would do to kind of share that. It's an internal ad hoc committee consisting solely of members of Baltimore County government, which includes the school system, no outside county employees, no website, no formal structure, so to speak. I said anything wrong, Ellen?
Only that I wouldn't myself describe the individuals who have attended a few of our meetings from the school system as exactly being members.
Got it.
It's just more that's been there for information sharing purposes.
Important clarification, Ethics Commission. Ellen just wanted to clarify again that when members from the Baltimore County Public Schools have attended meetings, they have been more like informational basis. She would not classify them as members, so to speak. So I think she would more correctly describe the committee as Baltimore County employees and perhaps the occasional Baltimore County Public School System employee has sat for an information sharing, but she wouldn't call those Baltimore County Public School she wouldn't call those employees members.
So what would be the purpose of sharing information with the Baltimore County Public School employees?
Did you hear that, Ellen? So what would be the basis of sharing information with the Baltimore County Public School employees?
It was to learn about some of their sustainability initiatives and to share information about some of the county's broader initiatives, including, for example, solar power installation, a food composting program that was being piloted in some of the city schools. So simply information sharing for, I guess, purposes of generating ideas that could potentially be replicated.
Did you hear any of that, Lisa? Okay, information sharing. A couple examples were the solar power, energy, what if anything they're doing. There's also a food composting that Baltimore County Public Schools has done. Really just kind of what if any efforts does Baltimore County Public Schools undertake, information sharing back and forth.
May I ask another? Is this a time to ask the question? Okay. I got the impression from the email that you forwarded. Unfortunately, I don't have the top part, so I don't know the date, but the one that's, hello, Kelly, thanks for taking time to talk with me the other day, etc. I get the impression reading it, but I'm not sure I'm correct, that Greenworks was planning for those committee members to be the people who are doing the solicitation. You know, that this is like a group of people who want to forward this initiative, and that they were suggesting that they themselves do the solicitation. Now, I know that may end up being a little different given what we were all just talking about before, but I'm really kind of curious as to what her and the committee's original goal was. Is it that they wanted for them to do it, or is it they wanted to somehow get the county to be officially doing it by having, you know, department heads do it or department heads delegate it? That's my question.
Okay, we got another question from the chair.
Can I ask you to pause for just a moment because I need to notify some folks in the 2 o'clock meeting?
Oh, yeah, we'll try to.
Just a moment.
Thanks for being flexible, Ellen.
Sure.
So the 2 o'clock meeting, which she's just letting people know she's going to get a little bit late too.
We are, for the commission, we're now at 2 o'clock. I think this was scheduled for 1 hour. Does anyone have a need to get off right away?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so Ellen, in your initial request, I guess the chair wants to know what your thought process was in the initial request as to who was going to be doing the solicitations if they were approved. Did you believe that it was going to be members of the prize committee? Were you thinking that it would be more of getting permission for Baltimore County to be doing the solicitation, Baltimore County kind of in the block quotes as being the government, or was the thought process that 1 or 2 members of the prize committee and or other employees would be the ones doing the solicitation?
Okay, so the thought process was definitely the members of the prize committee will do the solicitation.
Her thought process was that members of this prize committee would be the ones doing the solicitation.
And then when these prizes are given out, let's say I win a prize. Okay. And if I were to win a prize and I were one of these employees, none of which of course would be the case, but if I were, would I be awarded this prize? Would I be given this prize? Would it be announced to me that I was getting the prize by this committee or by someone official in the county? You know, I'm trying to figure out how unassuming this thing is.
Okay, Ellen, so the next question is, let's say hypothetically somebody won the prize. How would they be notified if they won the prize? Would somebody from the prize committee notify them? Would their supervisor notify them? Would somebody else in the county notify them? What was their vision for how that would work?
I believe the vision is that the Greenworks Work Committee would notify them.
Okay. And obviously the members of the prize committee are also members of the Green at Work Committee. Okay. So they would be notified by members of the Green at Work Committee, of whom everyone on the prize committee is a member.
Okay.
Any other factual questions for Ellen? Okay. Ellen, thank you so much. Yes. Sure. Can we put you back on speaker? Okay. She wants to say 2 more things to us. Yes.
Thank you. And I took myself off of speaker, so maybe I'm a little easier to hear now. I'm not sure. So I'll say that the intention is to use a computer randomizer to randomly select winners from among individuals who participate in the Green at Work Challenge.
Okay, pause for a second. Let me tell them that. The intention is to use a computer randomizer to pick the prize recipients that participate in the challenge. Okay, and the next one, Ellen?
Sure. Secondly, just immediately prior to the pandemic, we had scheduled a training of volunteers from among county agencies who were going to serve as Green at Work champions, and they were going to be helping with distributing posters and encouraging their colleagues in their departments to participate.
Right before the pandemic, they had kind of designated, I forgot what word you used to call them, Ellen?
Oh, it took a lot to come to the word that we used to use champions.
Champions. Green at Work champions. Yes, Mike?
Could I ask her one more question?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta get this out though before.
Yeah.
Right before the pandemic, they had designated a Green at Work champion for each department, and that person was going to help with distribution of posters and trying to kind of be proactive about participation. Yes, and we have one question back for you, Ellen, and then we'll let you go. Yes, Mike.
Would my assumption be correct that the entities or individuals that donate the prizes would not become aware of the individual recipients of the prizes?
Good question by one of our commissioners. Would it be a fair assumption that the person that donated the prize would not be aware of who ultimately won that prize?
In most cases, that would be absolutely correct. The one exception that springs to my mind is that if BCE were to provide home energy audits, then they would have the names of the winners.
Oh, right, and because they'd have to schedule it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
they would only be perhaps through happenstance, but no, they would not be notified, nor would they have any know who won. Yep.
So Mike, that's right, except for if you happen to win a BG&E home audit.
Right.
Right, would then have your name. Okay.
Right, I heard that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ellen. Really appreciate you picking up. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hopefully that was helpful. Sorry that it was a little telephone tag.
Thank you, Kelly. I think that was very helpful. So thank you for suggesting it. So I put this back out to the commissioners for further discussion.
I'm happy to start. I had reservations about this request when it came in, and I'm not sure that I've heard anything that changes my reservations about it. And it probably goes to the reaction to soliciting gifts and the county soliciting gifts. As somebody in the private sector, I can tell you that if somebody comes and ask a gift of me, there are some gift requesters that you really don't feel like you can refuse. You know, as a lawyer, if a client requests, you know, that you attend an event or requests that you sponsor something, it is difficult to refuse that. And my concern is that in making these requests, even though they seem like they could be nominal, with respect to some entities, you know, like for example, the bike shop gift certificate. I'm not sure that a bike shop is a kind of a mom and pop institution. I don't feel right about about a county employee soliciting that type of institution for a gift, and I don't think we can cut up. You can ask this party, but not that party, because I think my concerns hold for whoever the party is that's being requested. Add that to the fact that the purpose of the gift is to reward employees for participating in a voluntary program, and not really to further a county program directly. Like, for example, if maybe I would feel differently if the gift was requested in the nature of, can you print posters for the Greenworks challenge, as opposed to, can you provide gifts that would reward employees for their personal benefit for participating in a voluntary program. I think those are completely two different things under the statute. So those are my feelings about it, but I really welcome what other commission members, what their thoughts are.
Susan, you sort of came forward like you wanted to say something, but maybe you were just moving forward. I don't know. Susan, did you want to say something?
No, I was just moving. Sorry, I had an emergency pop up and I was just responding to an email. Sorry.
No, fine. Just wanted to make sure that you were having an opportunity. So I think, Lisa, if I'm understanding you, you're seeing that you're suggesting sort of two different inquiries, and one of them is really more of the code issue of whether it fits under this thing about a government program, and the other, you would have that concern, you know. Nonetheless, I don't know that we need to put it back up, but I guess, Susan, if this falls under the provisions of the code, in that it is a government program, et cetera, right? Does that obligate us to approve, or maybe even, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I think, you know, if you I mean, you can make the determination that it doesn't fall within what you consider a county program.
Yeah.
And you can also make a determination that their request of who's going to be soliciting is not acceptable, because that does not comply with the designee that's identified in the code.
Yeah.
So you could certainly say, yes, you can do it, but only if the request comes from a designee of the county executive who is a department head. So it could be Steve Lafferty or Dave Likens, or Ed Blades, but it couldn't be the committee members, for example.
Susan, you were obviously, you know, it sounds like you had some involvement in the drafting of this and are just going to have it more in your head than us, of the code provision. So, if someone is not one of these electeds or delegates, then this, no matter what the other facts and circumstances are, this code provision does not come into play. Is that
Right.
correct?
I mean, they could always, pursuant to the charter sections you were referring to that are referred to in the code, they can always make a request to the county council to authorize this, and that would just be a new resolution or new bill.
I will say that prior to learning of this amendment to the code, my view was going to be coming down on the side of this was not something that we should approve in the absence of new language. I had read and thought was important the material that Kelly sent about it was Montgomery County and maybe Baltimore City, maybe even Prince George's, where things like this are approved, but near as I could tell from what we got from the emails from Kelly, they're being approved under specific language that permits it, right? And
Which is why we amended the code to, based on Baltimore City and Montgomery County and some other
Right.
counties that do allow these types of solicitations.
so, and
It's not this, it's a different type of solicitation. It's like, it's a different type of citrus fruit. It's not the same citrus fruit.
but just to kind of share what my view had been kind of coming into this, that in and this was again before knowing about this new provision at all or factoring into it, my view was going to be that this was not something that should be approved given our statute, given our code, particularly or not as confirmed, frankly, by my reminder of the considerations that we applied with the thing with respect to COVID solicitation. However, you know, I thought that, I mean, it's not that I was going to say, I couldn't imagine such a thing ever being permitted under a code provision. Rather I was going to be thinking to myself that, or articulate at this meeting, that if Baltimore County wished to engage in the legislation that it now has. So that had been my view coming into it, which means that where I am on this is that unless it's permitted by the code, by this new provision of the code, we shouldn't be approving it. That's my opinion. It doesn't have to be others. Lisa raises another question, which is, I think what Lisa is saying is that even if it comes under the provision of the code, she has these other concerns. And that I think we haven't totally fleshed out, because the fact of the matter is that factually it still doesn't come under the provisions of the code, because they're not asking for the solicitations being done by the elected or their designee, though theoretically we could put that as a requirement. So I'd really like to kind of start, although we could start with Lisa's other issue. I would like to hear whether we seem to have any consensus on the issue of whether this is under the code, or rather would become under the code if the solicitation were made by the correct person.
My quick reading was I thought it would.
Okay.
Maybe that's what we ought to tell her to do.
Right. But then I think, Mike, and I'd like to hear Lisa on this. I think Lisa may be disagreeing on that because she's thinking it's not coming under that code because this is not a government program, et cetera, that is required under the code. So Lisa, could you address that? I may be misunderstanding what you're saying.
No, you are not misunderstanding what I am saying. I'm not convinced that the purpose for which these gifts would be solicited are for the benefit of a county program. I didn't hear during the telephone call that this was a county program. I heard that it was an ad hoc, unofficial thing that employees were doing together, or other governmental purpose, function, or activity. I don't think it's a governmental purpose or function. And I don't think that just because county employees are doing it, that it is a governmental activity. So for those reasons, I would say that it does not fall within the statute.
Susan, could you clue us in on whether it was this Greenworks situation that kind of was the genesis or intent of this code provision?
No, this never even came up. This was really more for, and it's really an offshoot of the COVID situation where we needed money. We didn't know if there were going to be federal or state funds, and we wanted to make sure that we could get donations to keep some of the major programs running. So,
So that purpose was to benefit the county at large, where
Yeah.
this is just
right,
benefiting individual employees.
Yeah, the
right.
other thing
I mean,
is-
I think the closest you come is a governmental activity, and I don't disagree with Lisa. I think it's tenuous at best.
This
Does-
also, the bill also, from my earlier discussions with, and part of the COVID-19, is that this idea that to try to get new playgrounds and parks and ask the Ravens to give money and the Orioles to give money and Under Armour, and why is every other county doing it and we can't do it? This was the idea to have a Baltimore County Foundation nonprofit set up to hire then an executive director to have that person go and be making these asks on behalf, but to also allow the county executive and or his designee to do that.
Or members of the county council.
Right, elected.
Right.
So does anybody think that with respect to the code provision and given the facts that we have now, that there's a way, again, this is putting aside Lisa's other issue, which I think we have to consider separately. Is there any way to take these facts and the code provision and give them an answer, which would be, you can do it, but only if X, such that the if only if X would make it come under the code provision? I mean, an easy thing about if only if X would be who the solicitors would be. But is there a way to say, to fix this other situation by saying that they have to do something that would turn it into a government program or make that less tenuous as Susan articulates the issue?
Well, is that really our job to tell this lady how to do it? I thought our job was either you get the exemption or you don't.
Mike, that actually, I wasn't trying to imply it was our job. I think maybe I didn't ask the question correctly. I should have said, I think we should do that. Okay. We should, or we could. It sounds like you do not, which is fine.
No, I don't think we should. We're getting into an area that is speculative at best, and it's not answering her question. She wants to know, or her committee wants to know, if we're willing to waive the 71-305, and
Yeah.
my answer is no. We're not willing to waive that. So good luck there, honey.
Do you wish to, do people wish to, well, Mike, do you want to make a motion to simply say no?
Oh, okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second to saying no?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? And I will say, by the way, that if we're going to say no, I'm going to want the commission to address what the reasons will be that we will give. But first, is there any discussion on the saying no? Okay, calling for a vote then. All in favor of the motion to say no to the request?
Aye.
Okay. And I would also be in favor of saying no, so that motion passes. The chair now asks for direction from the commissioners regarding the reasons that will be given. So, Mike, it was your motion. Would you like to start with reasons? And I'm asking this because I will be drafting this response, I guess.
Well,
will this be like an opinion letter that we're doing? I guess.
Are you talking to me?
I was just asking Susan, who's nodding. Yes, this is not an email response. This is here's an opinion.
I would, for reasons, synopsize the two reasons Lisa gave. And she could probably say it better than me, but there was a lot of discussion. Everything she said made sense to me. And I was kind of leaning the other way until she pointed out the obvious to me. And the more I looked at other things, it became clear that I was going to vote no. So I would ask that Cindy, you consider a short version of what Lisa gave for her no reasons, her reasons to vote no.
Okay. To sort of further that, Lisa, would you like to try to I just want to make sure everybody is on the same page there. Try to just summarize your reasons.
Yes. So the reasons are that under 7-1-305, in general, a solicitation may not be done by a public official unless there's an exception. One of the exceptions is set forth in 7-1-305.1 C, where an elected official or designee can solicit for the benefit of a county program or other governmental purpose, function, or activity. This request is not being made by an elected official or designee, and in my view, it is not for the benefit of a county program or other governmental purpose, function, or activity.
Okay.
If we go back to, then turn back to 7-1-305, I don't think that this warrants an exception under that section either, for the reasons that are reflected in part by the May 30 opinion 2020, that it should be for an extraordinary purpose.
Okay.
And this is not that.
And I think you mean the March 30th.
March 30th, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so is there a motion then that my the draft that I will put together will articulate the bases that Lisa has just articulated? Do I hear a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All three of you are putting your hands up. I vote in favor of the motion as well, and that motion carries. I think with that, we are complete on this. Is that right, Kelly? Okay. So with respect to further meetings, the substance of this meeting is limited to Greenworks, but I would like to just make a couple of comments. The requirement under the code is that we meet at least 10 times a year. And yes, I certainly remember that starting in beginning of 2019, when I came on this commission, that we would from time to time not have these meetings, and they included in the summer. One of the concerns I have about not having a meeting in July or August is simply that that's the lengthy period of time to not have a stated meeting. And when I look back, I recognize that that's what had been thought in someone's view that had been passed on in an email earlier this week or last week. But it didn't feel quite correct to me. And when I look back, I saw that, for example, there was a summer, it might have been 2019, where there was no meeting in June or August, but there was in July. And I simply felt uncomfortable. I do feel uncomfortable with canceling this far in advance, 2 meetings in a row, such that there would be no regular meeting then scheduled until beginning of September. Obviously, for example, if we were to cancel July and we were then upon the August meeting, I wouldn't have a problem with canceling it. But I had that concern. I recognize that this is already June 22nd, but still we'd be going from June 22nd till September. However, the other thing is that I would really, I was planning to originally, when we were clearly having the July meeting, to be raising with the commission, whether the commission should be trying to do something with respect to this issue with the forms. And this is not actually on this meeting, so I don't, and plus it's already, we've been going for an hour and 27 minutes. I do thank Kelly for her update. But I mean, there have been, I would like for the commission to be able to discuss whether there's anything we can do and hopefully can do to try to expedite this situation with the forms. We do, as a commission, have responsibility for this under the code. Therefore, since we do not have this on this meeting, I will say that my preference would be that we have what I would expect to be a short meeting in July to talk about this. It does not have to be on that date if people think it was canceled and we need to, and they've made other plans. But I fear that if we go till September, it starts getting, and we pick it up then, and it starts getting close again to when it's ready to roll these things out again next year. So I really want for us to be able to address this. So I would ask that we have a regular meeting in July, but if people are not available on that date anymore, that we just try to find a different date and time.
I'm available for July.
On the original meeting.
Regular.
Can you share what that date is?
I'm available on July.
July 6th.
July 6th. Is there anyone who has become unavailable on July 6th?
Not me. I'm available.
So then, what I would like to do, Kelly, would be, it looks like the two are listed right now as canceled on the website, but what I would ask be done is to change the July one to not canceled. And then we can discuss at that time. It's, I have no problem at all with not having the August one, although I think that would be with the understanding, of course, that if something comes up that needs to be discussed, we have to find a meeting, just exactly like we did for this June 22nd one. So those are my thoughts, having reviewed the code provisions and thought about this in terms of what I just said. Is that okay? At least I'm not sure that you've spoken on your availability.
Yes.
Okay.
That is fine. Yes.
And Kelly, do you remain available on those at that date and time?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, those were only canceled on the website, I think, like yesterday.
Okay, that's terrific. Okay, so I thank you very much, and that's what I would like to do.
And just to let you know, in past, the practice was to leave the meetings on and then just cancel them if there was no issue to discuss, so the committee members didn't have to come for no reason. So I don't think other than maybe February, because weather was often bad, we usually didn't preemptively cancel.
Right. Okay, so thank you for that, Susan. And so therefore, everyone, if we could, I guess if you could just maybe put both of them back on for July and August. And that would be great.
Okay.
And again, this was only for the purpose of the one substantive issue. I don't think that we are queued up to discuss anything else.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to give you guys now missing one financial disclosure.
Sure.
And I'm gonna again in July, I'll put it before your attention for enforcement action. It's a member of the workforce development.
Kelly, because we're in open session, so I don't know.
I'm not gonna say any more than that.
Okay, good. Okay, so thank you for that, Kelly. And I think that would be it. Is there a motion to adjourn? And thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
I don't think that. So, I thank everybody. This was a lengthy meeting. I think we did a very good job in dealing with the Greenworks. It was a very good idea of Kelly's to get our guest speaker on the phone. And with that, I thank everybody. Have a good rest of the month.
All right, everybody, bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.